Behind the scenes of the hip-hop music industry, is it safe to say it's male-dominated at this point? Behind the scenes.
Yes, definitely is.
And I'm talking about engineers, producers,
Everybody, yes.
DJs,
They're
videographers.
everywhere. You can't get away from them.
Have you ever had a chance to work with a female behind the scenes in a position of that nature?
Yes. Well, like, you know, other female artists, I got sent the records just as much as the guys. I got sent their records and stuff like that. But, you know, it's always good to work with other females, you know? We literally all go through, like, the same thing in this industry, you know? So it's always a blessing to get to work with whether it be an engineer, another female writer, or anything, you know? It's always like,
manager.
yes, producer, manager. It's always good.
How easy or hard is that for you to find in the industry? Now, we're talking about positions behind the scenes.
It's very, very rare. Very, very rare.
Do you look for that? Do you ever say to yourself, you know what, I want a female DJ?
It's funny because that's what I'm going through right now. I want a female DJ. I want a female DJ so badly, you know? When I was 21, I started my own label, you know? And it's all female. It's called Hood Foreman. And I put my friends down. I had a female singer, a female rapper, 2 models, like, you know, all female, you know? Because I don't know. This might be biased because I'm a female, but I feel like we just smarter than these guys. And how are we not running this industry? Like, you know, a lot of the things I feel like that happen, I'd be like, if a woman was behind that, it would have never happened. Like, you know, so I don't know. That's my thoughts on it.
Now, what obstacles have you encountered maneuvering as a female through that male-dominated music industry, hip-hop music industry?
Yeah, guys always trying to talk to me. And, you know, like, when I go into the studio, I love to give off a very, like, hard exterior when I walk in the studio because I don't want you to play with me. This is not a time for playing. I've been rapping for 7 years. I'm not doing this again. I'm not going back to my mother's house to tell my mom, it didn't work out again. Like, you know, I don't play that. I go in there dead ass serious all the time, you know? And because, you know, these guys do be trying you, you know? That's all they be around. It's just a bunch of crazy, sorry to say, they be around, they're used to, like, these girls all over them, like, you know? But it's not happening like that over here.
How often was that brought up? How often was sex brought up?
Sex was never brought up because I am very blunt and I'm somebody that you just, look, I didn't argue with people in the studio that y'all would be like, oh, you argue with that person? Hells yeah. Don't come at me like that. I don't come off like that. Don't talk to me like that. You know, that's why I bring a lot of guys around me in the studio. You know, I got to bring my gang with me because, like, you know, if I feel any kinds of ways, they're just going to deck a nigga for me.
When you grew up, were you the type that had more male friends than female friends?
I was both.
Okay.
Like, when I was younger, because I used to be in so many things. I used to fight a lot when I was younger. So I used to be around a lot of guys, and I used to be around the OD tough girls, like, you know. And I'm just used to always being around, like, you know, tough stuff. So that's why I always was around guys and girls, you know.
Because you did mention, you know, getting tried, that will happen. And you mentioned also sex was never brought up because it was shut down from
the jump.
Yeah, the jump. But was that ever discouraging to you? Did you ever get to the point of almost quitting because of having to deal with that?
No. Guys do that every day. I walk down the block and they got something to say. Hey, look, I'm going through a drive-thru, they got something to say. No, that don't ever stop me. If anything, that fuels me because, you know what? On the back end, when I come around, it's going to be a different, you know, it's going to be a different conversation right now, and I like that.
Now, sometimes it isn't a situation where, you know, you're working in the studio. Well, I guess there's 2 different types of things, I guess how I look at it. Sometimes when it's a male-dominated industry, especially music, you'll have that situation where it's a effing for track situation, right? A female is quote-unquote effing for tracks. There's some sort of sexual, there's like a back and forth, right?
Yeah.
A person is providing a service and sexual stuff is provided back. But then sometimes there's a situation where it's not a situation like that. It's you're working in the studio, just like you would be with a coworker at a job, and you just have a chemistry with the person that can develop into something romantic or sexual on its own, of that nature. Well, how do you feel about those type of situations? Are you against that type of stuff?
I mean, I don't do that kind of stuff. Like, if I was working at McDonald's, I wouldn't want to work with, you know, deal with the guy that's flipping burgers. Like, if I was in an office building, I wouldn't want to deal with my boss. Like, I just don't do certain, like, things like that. It's just because it's the music industry doesn't make it no better, you know? If anything, it would be worse, because wouldn't all these guys really run around and talk about it? Like, I've learned that outside when I was younger, you know? So I like to apply high school and running around the day shit to this, like, you know? So, no, I don't get involved in that. I don't do none of that. If somebody talking about you got to do a little something, you got to do a little something strange for a little piece of change, I ain't doing that. And I might deck you in your face before we get out this session. But, no, I don't get involved in stuff like that. I ain't about all of that.
Well, let me just expand on that coworker thing. I may have used a wrong terminology there instead of a coworker example, but you know, you'll see two rappers, they'll be dating each other, right? Or a rapper and a producer, they'll date each other. We've seen that happen in the music industry. And then there's some recording artists that keep everything separate. They don't want to be with somebody in the industry for it, like how you mentioned, right? So I was just curious where you kind of stood on that.
I don't know. I can't say that because my boyfriend, he raps, like, you know, but we knew each other since we were 16, like, you know, so I think that's kind of, it's different, you know. I don't really know. I just, like, I would not do that to myself. Like, you know, it's work schedules, I guess, would be off. My schedule is so crazy right now. I just wouldn't do that to myself. And nah, I'll just keep it separate.
I see. Now, okay, give us some advice here, right? Because there's women in different positions in the music industry, from like engineers and producers we mentioned before, and there's some women that hold some very high positions on the record label side of things, record label executives and that sort of thing. Let's say there's a female watching this, not necessarily another female rapper, just wants to get in the male-dominated music industry. Is there any general advice you have for somebody other than what you may have stated in this segment?
Yes, definitely hold your ground, you know? That's what I would definitely say. And have patience, you know? No matter how many times the door closes in your face, it's time to get back up and not beat yourself up too much about it. I got mad doors closed in my face so many times over the years, you know? Just pick yourself up and just keep going. It's going to be 10 times as hard for you because you're a female, you know? Again, in a male-dominated industry, whatever you do, you know? That's one odds we have against us right there. We're female. That's what everybody likes to say, to be blunt. But, yeah, hold it down and have patience and, you know, don't lose yourself to anything, you know? All the behind-the-scenes stuff, be crazy and all of that. Don't lose yourself. Stay focused and always keep a good team around you.